Jessica Cloud from Real Deal Fundraising is here on the Auctria webinar stage. I am so thrilled that you're here, Jessica. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lori. This is exciting. I love talking about Giving Tuesday and Days of Giving. It's going to be great.
Awesome. So Jessica will give you her full, background and bio, but she is here to help you. She brings 20 years of frontline fundraising experience to the table. She has raised millions in major gift and in 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 dollars and in planned gifts as well as donations. And her mission is to help nonprofits feel confident, capable, and equipped to do your best work. So if you are in the house, say hello to Jessica in the chat. Love to know what kind of organization you guys are fundraising for. And I always want to know where you're tuning in from. I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm nosy and I want to know if we hit coast to coast. I am, of course, tuning in and joining you from sunny South Florida. Jessica, where are you at today?
You said I'm in Hartsville, South Carolina.
Very nice.
So we're going to cover sort of the philosophy of giving days all the way to specific tactical strategies. So I think there'll be something for everybody, which is great.
Awesome. So without further ado, it's not too early to strategize for Giving Tuesday for 2025. And again, so thrilled that Jessica is here on our webinar stage with us. Jessica.
Well, yeah, I'm Jessica Cloud. I'm a certified fundraising executive. My field is higher education fundraising. So I've been almost exclusively in higher education, if you count part-time, since 1999. So way back in the 20th century, the 1900s, I've been doing this in one form or another. And I began about 10 or 12 years ago blogging and doing webinars and teaching and consulting. And I have recently, in the last year or two, recommitted to that process and formalized my business. I still have a day job, so I'm still a full-time practitioner at a nonprofit, but this is a side that I really like. I love teaching and helping folks have ideas, have breakthroughs, and come along in their fundraising career. So I'm really excited to be here today, and I thank Lori for letting me help y'all with this topic. It's one I'm really excited about. And I think the next slide is you, about Auctria and Lori.
Yes, if you're new to Auctria, sometimes people come in through other avenues. My name is Lori. I have been at Auctria, or Auctria has been around since 2011. Through that time, organizations have raised, I need to update this, it's $2.25 billion. Goes to show you how I just keep bringing my slides along sometimes. And truly, Auctria's mission is to empower nonprofits by providing you with affordable and easy to use software tools. And I wake up every day because I know you guys are doing incredible work out there, and I'm happy to support it in any way that's happening.
Yeah, so our agenda today, we are going to help you design a Giving Tuesday plan that works for your organization, because what works, I'm going to talk a little bit about Columbia University that has an incredible day of giving. What works for Columbia is probably not going to work for a small nonprofit. So we have to be able to scale these strategies back and forth and pick what's right for your constituency. We're going to talk about challenge matches, because not only do we need that urgency that Giving Tuesday brings us, but we also need a little incentive. There's a little sweeten the incentive for our donors to make a gift on that day. We want to make sure we engage board members and major donors. I'm going to talk about some specific strategies for doing that, and begin with the end in mind, meaning once you have those folks that support you on that day of giving, what are you doing to steward them? What are you doing to let them know the impact of what they participated in, and turning those folks, deepening their relationship? This is an opportunity really to build relationship. And then at the end, Lori is going to tell you more about how Auctria can support your Giving Tuesday efforts, right? Great. Okay. So let's jump in. Days of Giving, this is not new anymore. Days of Giving, in the early days, we called it crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has now sort of migrated and become more about micro campaigns. But Days of Giving really started in the early 2000s. Giving Tuesday comes along to sort of formalize this trend in 2012. You can have a giving day really anytime. We can just pick a day, and I'll talk about some of the other ways that I've seen giving days employed. And the model is really similar to Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is just a global effort to host a day of giving. So we can do these in many different ways to build momentum and be strategic along the way to mobilize our donors. It is really an opportunity to build those relationships and energize donors at every level. We're going to have major donors, board members, we're going to have mid-level donors involved, and our more modest folks on the old school giving pyramid are going to be part of this effort as well. And that is really where giving days shine. They give you that opportunity to see the momentum, see the snowball of effort, and folks can really feel like they are part of something larger, right? So it's difficult to sort of get your donors to come back month after month, quarter after quarter, to see your annual fund, your thermometer tick up, right? They're probably not going to do that. Our attention spans are way too, scattered these days, but they might clue in, lock in for 24 hours or 36 hours or whatever your campaign is. And they will come back and look at those thermometers. They will look at the maps and see if you've gotten coast to coast representation. And that can really give folks that sense of community, and it can really let donors who are giving $25, $100, $500 feel like they are part of something bigger. We all know that they are always when they make a gift. Those small gifts add up and work together. But the giving days really give folks a chance to see that in action. And then Giving Tuesday adds that other layer on top of it, where you get the amplified marketing of hundreds of other nonprofits doing the same thing on the same day. So folks are like, oh, they're thinking about philanthropy, and it kind of gives you a head start, right? That increased visibility on Giving Tuesday. And also Giving Tuesday is uniquely positioned because it is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So it's usually at the very end of November or the very beginning of December, which this year it's on December 2nd. So it is like the perfect kickoff to your calendar year-end giving campaign. And that's the way I have come to frame it, is Giving Tuesday is the exciting kickoff to our micro campaign at the end of the calendar year. Because we know the research shows that you're going to get more gifts on the last 3 days of the calendar year when folks are thinking about philanthropy and their taxes than any other days of the year. So Giving Tuesday is like the little prelude to that. And I think that is that makes it a little bit even more of a good deal for us in fundraising. Now, I could work currently at Star King School for the Ministry. We're a pretty small Unitarian Universalist seminary, and our constituents don't like to be told when to give and what to do. We joke that it's kind of like herding cats, and our early efforts at Giving Tuesday or trying to get a day of giving off the ground were kind of like not exciting. Our constituency did not respond. They were like, why? They didn't want to be told when to give. And so again, we had to kind of iterate over the years and sweeten the pot a little bit. So we started getting challenge matches. I think we started with a $2,500 after the first year kind of fell flat. And, so we raised $5,000 that year, and then we bumped it up slowly, $5,000, $10,000 matches. Last year we had a $20,000 match, and we were really nervous we weren't going to reach it. We really wanted to reach the match, right? Because you want the match to be high enough to inspire, but not so high that you can't get there, right? Mm-hmm. So we were a little nervous. But we did raise $40,000. It was the highest, single day match that we've had. It was an excellent kickoff to our calendar year end. And we did employ a little secret weapon. We did a little strategic extension because we got really, really, really close on the actual 24 hours of Giving Tuesday. But you know what? There's no rules about this. So we just extended that deadline a little bit. No big deal. And we closed the gap exactly, raising $40,000 due to Giving Tuesday. So I'm going to go more into specifics about exactly how we did this, but we didn't start off this amazing success. This was absolutely an iterative process over about a decade. So these are the 7 things that we tried last year that I think really together sort of clicked like a Rubik's Cube and made it work for us. And I'm going to go through each of these in detail. I would say the only one that I think maybe has more potential to do better next year is the going live, and I'll talk more specifically about that. But let's jump in with challenge matches. So my friend and colleague Jake Strang, who is currently at University of Pittsburgh, began the process of Columbia University's Day of Giving when he worked there. And a few years ago, I interviewed him and I was asking all of these questions about days of giving, which meant, remember, all of that logic applies to Giving Tuesday. And I just think that this quote is so brilliant from Jake. As fundraisers, we need to ask ourselves what our donors are asking ourselves. Why today? Why today? And again, that's what my donors were not responding. They were like, why? We don't want to do it today. The answer has to be that the gift is going to go further via a match, that you're going to be engaging these new and returning audiences, and you're going to set organizational records. So you have to get people bought in on the excitement, the momentum, the doubling of impact where you have those matching funds, etc. They want to feel that impact. And if you're not making the promises of that impact, they're not going to clue in and do it that day. And the greatest thing is you can't promote a match last minute. At least not very well. So you need to be talking to your major donors now and trying to secure those matches. And you can have more than one. You can have a $5,000 match from one donor or $5,000 from another and put those together. And those matches can be anonymous. It doesn't really matter how you put it all together. But then once you've secured those commitments for the matches, you've got to weave all of that through your messaging and your social media plan, your communications plan for Giving Tuesday. So that's why, one reason why it's not too early right now, even though December 2nd seems like a long way away. Handwritten postcards. So this was an idea that I got inspired by postcards to swing states. So in the election last year, I was writing postcards encouraging folks to vote, particularly in swing states. And some of those strategies, I was like, this is so smart because you don't have to open the envelope, right? So it's just there. It's in your mailbox. There's no barrier where we have to entice them to open the envelope. And they were doing strategies where you're handwriting. You can see some of the specific details that I wrote on there are in red ink versus black or blue. And there was some basic information on the front of the card that was colorful and interesting. And I really feel like that this broke through a lot of digital noise because there's a lot of organizations participating in Giving Tuesday, but they're doing it mostly just on social media and via email. So weaving in some postcards leading up to, and again, another reason why you should start early so you have time to get these printed, write the content if you're doing handwritten on any of them, and then get them mailed out so folks can plan for Giving Tuesday in advance. And one of the things I've been researching lately is whether analog is making a bit of a comeback. And I do think we're on a bit of an upturn for more nostalgic media of reaching people like mail and phone. I think that folks are inundated with digital content, and I think organizations that sort of redeploy some of these more analog ways of connection may stand to benefit over the next couple of years. 74% of adults are overwhelmed by email. I'm in that percentage for sure. Postcards, again, they don't have that envelope, they don't have that extra step, so they're even maybe better than a full letter. direct mail has a 90% open rate. I was very shocked when I found this statistic that analyzed this. 90% of mail gets open, 20 to 30% for email is kind of the best that we can hope for. Personalized handwritten notes are really the gold standard, right, of donor interaction. We already know that with the thank you notes. So why don't we think about that in terms of prepping folks for a solicitation that's coming? And I also noticed in this research that even millennials and Gen Z share mail with other people if they find it interesting. I thought that was such an interesting statistic. Is we're so used to sharing in the digital world, we now do it with hard copy mail, which is a great opportunity, right? Is if we have, how can we mobilize that? How can we work with that to help with our campaigns like Giving Tuesday? So again, there's something about tactile, we can actually touch something and engage with it. There's something about that feels different, that feels more personal. Okay, again, about the major donors. Yes, we want to engage our major donors for the high capacity donors for the challenge match. But they like to participate in things like this too. Even if we think of crowdfunding, again, has taken on a micro campaign capacity, right? We think of like $25 here, like GoFundMe, right? Like small amounts adding up solely. But actually, with these big days of giving that are half fundraising and also half marketing events, the major donors, they want to be a part of this. They want the organization to see success and have a big splash, right? Lori, did you need to jump in?
No.
Oh, okay. And again, they want to help build the momentum, and it'll help you get some nice big bumps. So can you work with major donors to say, if you're going to give $1,000 or $5,000 towards this effort, can you let me know about it? And can we spread those out over the course of the day so we have some nice jumps, right, throughout the day, and it's not slow and anxiety producing, and then you have a huge jump at 5 o'clock, right? That's a good way to stress yourself out. So kind of, pre-plan. I would have conversations with folks who maybe have a pledge payment due around the beginning of December. And I'd say, hey, if you can make that gift online on this particular Tuesday, if you could make that at noon, that would be like the biggest help for us, right? Because we're going to show a nice bump when we do our 1 p.m. update. You can absolutely seed your campaign with some larger capacity gifts so that you feel that momentum a little bit more. And that will help sort of a bandwagon effect where other folks want to jump on board and help. And the major donors find this to be very meaningful, that they are not just helping with their specific gift, but they're helping to inspire others and increase the profile of the organization that they care about, which is super cool. And I would throw board members in here too under this category.
I feel like they love being in like the back door of the activity also. It's like they know what's going on and they're in on the strategy. And I feel like that elevates that relationship and continues to boost that trust.
Yes, they love that. And they want the organization to succeed. That's why they're giving you larger amounts, right? They're invested. Right. So they want to, maybe they don't want their name out there, right? Like they don't, they may even want to be anonymous in terms of their gift, but they want to see that excitement and they want to feel as a part of the community as much as anyone else when they're giving, right? Okay, here's the other part that I think really set our campaign on a good road is we had specific lists, myself and my annual giving director, we had specific list of folks that had given $500 plus gifts in this season of the year in the previous 2 or 3 years. And we sort of divided that down the middle, and we just started working the phones by time zone that morning, making calls, reminding folks, even the folks that had said, yes, I will make a gift that day. We were following up. We were texting them directly if we knew them. We were writing specific emails directly to them, not through our normal, blast email system. And we were on the phone. We were calling folks. We were making that personalized contact. And surprisingly, folks were like, "Oh yeah, that's today. Thank you for the reminder." They were grateful that we were reaching out and giving them that reminder. And again, this is breaking through the digital noise. And even if they didn't give on Giving Tuesday, a lot of those folks that we called came back on board in the calendar year end period. So again, that's part of this is an investment in our calendar year end campaign. This is the kickoff to our calendar year end giving campaign. And not to leave phone out, because we want to talk about these analog methods and how they are really, I think they're going to be experiencing a renaissance soon. A lot of folks in higher education got rid of phone calls as a tool, especially in and around the pandemic. And what I'm seeing now is that folks are picking up on the phone. And I think that's because phone is the only medium where you can have a two-way conversation, but at scale. So you can dial all day. And especially if you have a team of volunteers that are helping you make those calls, or a team of student workers, if you're in higher ed, you can really reach a lot of folks, even in one day. I've been working with a client to rebuild their alumni phone-a-thon. And in 2022, they were raising $134,000 from that phone-a-thon. And basically it was upside down. It was costing them more than they were bringing in. This year, $396K. So to me, that represents a renaissance in this. And what I found really interesting is that their recent graduates in the last 5 years, so these are folks that graduated from 2020 to 2025, are having a 17% participation rate in giving. That's crazy. Those were the rates that we used to get on the phone in 2007. So if people say people don't pick up the phone anymore, they're wrong. And it's crossing generations. You're getting younger and younger donors on the phone. And remember, the donors thanked us for calling. They were excited to have that personal outreach. So you're really making sure that we're not forgetting about these analog strategies. Going live. This is something we tried last year. I think it was a little bit like, it was modest. I think we're going to build on it this year, maybe release some information in advance about when we'll be going live and doing these updates. We did some live sessions in 2020 when folks were really hungry for that connection. And we were, this time we were sharing real-time updates and giving shout outs to donors that we wanted to thank, and letting folks know how it was going. Really modest audience right away, but those live videos then get replays on social media, especially depending on what platform you're on. But the energy was so great, like having these like conversations in the chat with people and being able to report what was happening on our website and what gifts we were getting in was really fun. The hardest part is figuring out where your people are. Are they on TikTok? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Facebook? Where do you have the community where you can go live and you're going to get the maximum amount of interaction and momentum out of that? But again, this is a double whammy, because you're getting like the best of that two-way interaction, like phone, but it's also video media that folks are, able to engage with, and we're all getting really used to seeing video as one of the major ways that we take information in. So I think this is one of our growth areas we'll be able to do more with, but I wanted to throw it out there because it was really fun. It was small compared to our other efforts, but I think we can build from there. And yeah, at midnight, we were $800 short of our $20,000 match. And so we were like super bummed out. And then we woke up the next morning and my president said, "Why don't we just extend the match?" And so I said, well, yeah, I mean, there's no rules about this. There's no, there's no regulatory body saying you have to do it only on this day. So I called the donor offering the match. I said, "Are you okay with this?" And she said, yes, absolutely. And once we extended the deadline for 24 more hours, a board member and a couple other donors called me directly and says, "Hey, we're gonna close this gap for you. Like let's get this to the total of 40,000, meeting the 20,000 match." And we were just really transparent on social media. We told them exactly where we were and exactly how close we were, and that we just needed to keep the momentum going a little bit more. And we were able to do it. So, again, we have these sort of just rules in our head about how these campaigns have to go. But there's no rules. You make the rules. Like, so extend your match if you need to, and get the money for your mission. And again, I have done things in fundraising where I start out with great intentions, like with an event, and I'm like, I'm going to follow up with every person that comes to the event. We're going to send surveys via email. We're going to do all of that. And then you go through the event and you are absolutely exhausted and you don't do the stewardship part. Lori's shaking her head. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. So I say, again, this is another great reason to start now. Build your templates for the stewardship piece. Decide what you're going to do. Bring in volunteers, maybe, who are going to have, like, if you're going to do thank you phone calls, make sure you're pulling in a couple of board members to help you do that. Plan for you to be exhausted, because Giving Tuesday is a push. It can be exhausting day of. So get other folks involved, decide what you're going to do, build your templates that you can just dump the final total in at the end and roll it out, right? Get everything as pre-planned as you possibly can. So for us, we did a stewardship graphic, and it looked like this. It was cute. So we had like just like a long skinny image, and it showed that we got the $40,000, how many donors, which designations they supported, and whether the gifts came in via mail or online, etc. I think we had some other information at the bottom, like maybe about the scholarships. Yeah, we had some things about the scholarships on there. But it was cute. It was branded, and now we have the template. So we'll be using it again this year and just dropping in the new statistics, which make it really easy to implement. I want to talk about a few other examples of days of giving and what I've learned from those. One was the Southern Miss Gold Rush. So when I worked at the University of Southern Mississippi, we always celebrated Founders Day, which is at the end of March. And when we decided we wanted to do a Day of Giving campaign and make it as big as possible, we wanted to do it in the 36 hours leading up to our Founders Day ceremony, and then have a big reveal of how much we raised at the Founders Day ceremony, which is where we give out a lot of awards for faculty and students, and it's a big university-wide celebration. So we planned for a whole year. We really got a lot of different folks involved. We ended up raising $200,000 in 36 hours, and it was built around peer sharing of the campaign information. So our whole goal was to try to get our alumni to not just give, but to share out the information that we were drip feeding throughout the day. And that's where we really saw a lot of connections, and we're bringing in alumni that maybe hadn't given in a very long time. We did this happened all organically. And that's another thing, is make sure you leave a little bit of room in your plan to be creative day of and follow that improvisation, because cool stuff comes out of that, like pressure cooker of improving day of. We just started randomly mapping in our offices where we were getting gifts from. Oh, okay, we got a Colorado. Oh, we got a Massachusetts, which of course are very far from Mississippi. And we said, what if we put this on social media? And we started drip feeding that out, and folks really liked it. So that became part of our ongoing thing that we did. And we tried to make it as fun as possible, bringing in video content, photos with our mascot. We had all kinds of cute stuff with our mascot going on that day. And we also mobilized academic departments and alumni networks, really tapping them to spread the information around, because every department would have their own Facebook page, and we'd want to get everything out on there. We're like, look, it's to your benefit to get this out there, so your alumni give back to your area. And again, we incorporated major donors, and this was the coolest thing about this. Our major gift officers, because we counted anything to any designation at the whole university. They could give to any fund they wanted to. So our major gift officers used this public crowdfunding campaign basically to close gift proposals that were pending. So multiple major gift officers were saying, I got this person and he's been hemming and hawing about making this scholarship gift of $15,000. Okay, push the gold rush and tell him it'll count towards the gold rush. And that's how we actually got major gift proposals closed because of an annual fund campaign, which was surprising, but very much welcome. And it actually started the year before. So the gold rush was in 2014, and we ended up very quickly implementing a version of this the year before because a tornado hit our campus. And here's the thing, buildings are insured, but trees are not. And so I learned a lot about trees. We had a lot of historic live oaks on our campus. And each live oak cost $25,000 to $35,000 to replace. So we knew we needed to raise some money to make our campus, restore the front of our campus, which is essentially our front porch, to the level of beauty that it had been before this EF4 tornado hit our campus. So the tornado hit February 10th. We planned this event, the Campus Beautification Day of Giving, in early May. And we were able to raise $130,000, which is like 6 of the live oak trees, which was incredible. And we got to follow up by showing them sort of airlifting. You have to have a crane to put these trees into the ground, which was very exciting to follow back up with folks after that and show them what happened. We used a lot of storytelling with footage from the tornado to show folks what had happened and to really put the emphasis on how the campus community came together after the tornado to support each other. And that's where we were really doing a lot of storytelling day of. Put Columbia University's Day of Giving in there as a nod to my dear friend Jake Strang, who helped pioneer this. Columbia University, that statistic of 14 million is from at least 8 years ago. As you can see, I pulled their logo for their Day of Giving this year. It's at the end of October. I bet they're raising a lot more money now. So this is just to show you can scale up or scale down based on what is there for your organization. And like Star King, no matter where you start, if you start at, okay, I only have a $2,500 match, work that $2,500 match, and then slowly, year by year, you can kind of stretch that goal to a level that's comfortable for your constituency. So when I interviewed Jake, he talked about the keys to success really being partnerships, both on campus and with alumni networks that are affiliated with the institution, etc., and major donors. The challenge matches, they had challenge matches sort of all over. So different colleges would have challenge matches going, and then they'd have a big challenge match. So there were lots of things going on for folks to hook on to. And innovation. And at the time, they were using, again, this was a number of years ago, they were using a software called Social Toaster that gamified social sharing. So I think we all know that in this day and age, there is almost no organic reach on social media anymore. It is pay to play. So any way that you can incentivize your strongest supporters and advocates to increase your social media reach without having to pay to boost posts and things like that is going to be essentially free advertising for your fundraising effort. So their ambassadors would basically lend their social media accounts, and the software made it really like almost one click to share out the content that Columbia was dripping out over the course of the day. And they would the people who were the ambassadors would earn prizes and all kinds of things. So it was a way to incentivize that ambassadorial function, which I think was really interesting. Okay, so where do we start, right? I would say you can also get pledges, and we've gone back and forth on this throughout the years, but essentially, certainly for the major donor levels, you want to get those pledges. Hey, I'll pledge $5,000, I'll pledge 1,000, and then talk to them about when they're going to do that throughout the day. Start getting those pledges so you know that you're going to have at least half, maybe 60% toward your challenge match goal already sort of pre-secured day of, and then you just have to remind folks. Get your major donors and leadership involved early. Get your messaging around your challenge match locked down. Communicate very clearly with your gift processing folks, your finance and data teams, because they are crucial in this. They're going to be the folks giving you the numbers. They're going to be the people letting you know which gifts count and which don't. Make sure that everybody's on the same page so you're not arguing about that day of. You want that part to be really smooth, okay? And then define your rules. What gifts count? When does it count? If it comes in at 12:01, is it going to count, right? Who gets credit for the gift? These sorts of things. And by credit, I mean, are you doing different parts of your organization? Because you can do that too. Like you could have the colleges compete against each other. I'm in higher ed, so I use those examples. And just agree to all of this in advance and document it so that you're not arguing about the rules day of. And of course, this should be a multi-channel campaign. You really want to make sure there's something in this for everybody. Direct mail, email, video. Are you going to use text messaging? Which social media platforms are you going to go live? Who's doing phone calls if you're doing phone calls? And it may even include an in-person event. I haven't done that myself where we did an in-person event or a virtual event on Giving Tuesday. But hey, there's nothing that says you can't do that. That could be kind of cool too. So, mixing a fundraising event in there. And make sure you're tracking where these gifts are coming from. So you can track them on 2 levels, like make it Giving Tuesday and then have another sub appeal code for exactly what methodology or medium they came through, so that you can see which ones are working and which ones are not as much, and refine your strategy for future years. And think through how you're going to publicly track your progress and show folks where you are throughout the day, because you really need to be doing that drip feed of information to build that momentum and get people excited as the day goes on. So letting them know when or about when or how often you're going to be posting, your numbers, and who's responsible for getting the fresh numbers into the social media post each time. Again, have a variety of ways that you're communicating this. It could be video, it could be graphics. Again, the map, I showed you an example of the Day of Giving map with our states and which states had representation and which ones didn't. We got 37 states in Barbados the year that we did the Campus Beautification Day of Giving. So that was really fun to report that out. And there would be other ones that had less gold on them as the day went on, and then it kind of grew, which was neat to see. But all of this really does bring the energy, and this is where your plan, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Is giving that plan. And again, leave room to improvise, a little bit of room. Have your structure, here's what we're going to be doing day of. This is how the team's going to communicate. Start a dedicated Slack channel or text thread where everybody's going to be on the same page. So again, I bring you back to Jake's question, which is why today? You have to answer that question, why today? And then from that, you will have success. So you've got to be able to motivate those cats to go in the direction you want to go, right? Like they're going to be saying, why today? I don't want to do it today. I don't want you to tell me when to make a gift. Give them some incentive beyond it just being Giving Tuesday. Bring them into behind the scenes of, hey, you're going to help us make this big PR splash. You're going to help us inspire other folks to jump on board. You're going to be doubling your impact with a challenge match. All those things layered on top of each other will help answer that question for your donors. And again, it's not just about the results on Giving Tuesday. This is the kickoff of the calendar year-end campaign. And so you will continue to see benefits out of that. We're going to be building stewardship into everything we do so that this becomes about being part of the ongoing relationship with your organization and its mission. And innovate with intention. And by intention, I mean track what you innovate on so that you can see if it works and you know whether you want to do that going forward. And this is really about more than revenue. It is really about creating a micro experience of what we all know to be true, which is that small gifts add up with others and do make a big impact. It helps folks really feel like their $25 gift matters. You're creating an experience where they can see that as a microcosm. So what would make Giving Tuesday meaningful for your donors? So I know that my constituency responds well to a challenge match. Does yours? Have you tried it? There may be other things like the states and trying to get representation across the whole country. That might be what motivates your donors. So throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what happens for your people. And I just put this up here to recap our 7 strategies that I talked about. And yeah, and I think that Lori's going to talk a little bit about Auctria and how that fits into this whole planning process.
Absolutely. Jessica laid out the strategy for you. Now I can talk to you about the technology for implementing the donation pages so that your people now have a place to give online. Having a specific Giving Tuesday donation page gives you the ability, you don't have to talk to any of your tech people, your IT people. You can make it yourself. You can create that donation page. It's simple in focus. It's telling people exactly that why. You're going to modify it and click donate, done. And there's no additional distraction. So you want to put the blinders on, ask people to donate, and give them the donation page. So this is how you can do that on Auctria. There is easy setup. It's easy to use. Your past supporters or your past bidders at your event or your most likely Giving Tuesday donors. You will have a website presence. It will give you the ability to collect the donations and you can provide the receipts. So all that stuff in between that you need to do. Because you will be accepting donations online, you'll have to have your credit card integration. I'm doing a full webinar in a couple weeks going through the setup of it, and I'll have a video for you. I'm not going to do that today, but just so that you know, it's pretty simple. It's just 3 clicks. So in your dashboard, you're going to click Organization. Click 2 is click Giving Tuesday, and click 3 is Create Event. We've set this up so that it auto creates your Giving Tuesday page. Literally, click, 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 and it creates the page for you. And the Giving Tuesday page looks similar to the information that is in this webinar here. That's the Giving Tuesday colors, the Giving Tuesday logo, and absolutely you can swap any of this out. You can swap out the images, you can swap out the colors, you can swap out the thank you note, you can swap out your donation levels, you can put some information in there about your donation match. If you're doing updates on graphics throughout the day, you can put those graphics into this page. It's really your digital home for your Giving Tuesday day. One single page does it all. And then to do that, to make any sort of modifications, you can change the image, you can change the donation levels, all easy within Auctria. If you've been in Auctria before, you know this. If you don't, then that's want to share it with you. You can edit your thermometer goal. Like Jessica was saying, when you first start out, it's probably going to be a little smaller. As you grow and grow and grow, you want to modify that to show that growth. So whatever your goal is, you can go ahead and make that yours. And then at the bottom of the page, we just have out of the box, it looks exactly like this. What's Giving Tuesday? It's a global day of giving. Thank you, with some of the Giving Tuesday information and colors. You want to swap that out? Again, absolutely you can. If you want it out of the box, ready to go, it is. And then you have to promise me, like pinky swear to me, even if you don't use Auctria, use something that's mobile friendly, because so many people are making donations on their phones. So with Auctria, it's going to be friendly on a computer. It's also going to be mobile friendly on a phone. That way people can quickly click and make their donation. So with the event website that we have already created with those 3 clicks, it will be mobile friendly for you. And if you're new to Auctria, a note on licenses, you can have unlimited number of events with any license that you have, whether it's Explorer, Emerald, or Diamond. If you're doing under $10,000, the Explorer is the plan for you. If you're doing over $50,000, and this is an income that's recorded in the Auctria program, you would have to pop into the Emerald program. And if you're doing over 50, it would be Diamond at $750. So if you're already using Auctria, there's no extra cost for adding additional events throughout the year. And that also means if you have your golf tournaments, if you have a lemonade stand, if you have any flash fundraisers throughout the year, there is no limit on the number of events. And then we do have a setup webinar that's coming on October 29th, and we will go through kind of the information that I just did there, and we'll slow it down a little bit so that you can kind of move along with us. And then I brought along Jessica's contact information. Jessica, you're active in a lot of places.
I am. I'm kind of all over the place. I think my favorite place right now is TikTok. I love being on TikTok, and there's a great community of fundraisers there, and we have a lot of fun, making jokes about working in the nonprofit industry, but also sharing tips like this and stuff. So love TikTok, but I also post weekly on my blog, and that's a more in-depth article. So that's where I'm writing about stuff like this rise of analog again and things like that. So if you subscribe at my website, you'll get a newsletter with all of that coming to you weekly. So
I love your blog. As soon as it comes into the email, that's one of the ones that I click and I say, I'm going to read this now. And some of the others, I'm like, I'll get to it. But that one, I always click and I always open.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. And then Auctria is also social, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have Pinterest. We have over 500 pins that go directly to donation request pages if you're working on your event or auction. Our Facebook group is the nicest page on Facebook. It's a great way to carry the conversation from this chat onto Facebook and ask questions. Talk to other people that are in the same exact seat as you are, running auctions, running fundraising. There's always just a couple people, a lot of times there's only a couple people in your organization that are doing exactly what you're doing, amongst all the others. So it's nice to be able to brain hive with people that are doing exactly what you're doing. And I think the Auction Team Talk page is a nice way to do it.